So we're back again for another Motivational Monday, and today I'm here with Alfred of Boardroom Chat. Now, just to explain, because we're sat here in an empty room, and some of you might be wondering why. Just explain a little bit about what's going on here today.
Okay, so we have something called the Boardroom Chat, which is basically we get entrepreneurs and young executives that are aspiring to evolve into leadership positions in the corporate world or in the business world, come in to listen to, we don't want quite a keynote speaker or a motivational speaker, basically somebody who has evolved as a business leader. So they come in, we do this usually bi-monthly, come in and sit and listen to where they have succeeded, where they have failed, and if they could do anything different, what they would do, and then that obviously impacts the next generation. So what we bid it as is we call it a live and leave a legacy, or the evolution of a business leader. So the issue is if somebody has transformed or evolved, that means they've left a legacy and somebody has to emulate what they've left behind.
Yeah. Why should people emulate that? I'm going to back this up with the second question, because, and we were talking about this before, something that is really, it's a buzzword at the moment, and to be honest, I'm finding it a little bit annoying because they're motivational speakers, people who seem to know everything, right? And I just want to find out what's different about your events. If someone is jaded like me and they think I've been to so many motivational talks and I'm not hearing anything new, what's different about your events?
Yeah, I think it's an issue of leaving a legacy. You know, live and then you leave a legacy. Motivational speakers will speak about stuff they've read about. They will quote other people. I think if somebody has to live and leave a legacy, they'll be quoting what they have done, you know what I mean? They'll be talking about their achievements, they talk about their pitfalls. I would not want to sit down and hear somebody tell me about business when they've never even run a small little corner store. You know, they've not even sold 2 tomatoes from their garden. So the essence of what we do is people who have actually achieved stuff. So you'll notice that from the previous 7 that we've done is we've taken CEOs, notable CEOs, not just an ordinary CEO, notable CEOs, former chairpersons of boards or even current chairpersons of boards, because then they're experiencing the exact thing that they're talking about. I like just doing motivation. Motivation, I could just read about self-help gurus and then proclaim myself as a guru. So what we're doing with this is we're talking about people who have actually evolved as business leaders.
So the live part of it, from you talking about it, for me I think is very important, because live means having gone through the ups and the downs of it. You got through to this point living somehow. How did you get to this point where you decided, now I want to start a boardroom chat, I think I have something to give to people?
Yeah, I used to work. My background is communications and resource development. I used to work for an NGO for 12 years, and then over time I went into retail. When I got into retail, rarely did I have anybody come and tell me what not to do or what to do. I had to discover stuff for myself, some of it painful or most of it painful.
What sort of painful stuff?
I mean, it's stuff to do with maybe statutory requirements that somebody would not have embedded into your business DNA. And then you start asking questions, oh, you didn't know about that, oh, you're supposed to do this. And then at the end of the day, you'd have probably hit rock bottom. So as I went along, I realized that there are no real mentors. And now mentorship may not necessarily be something we do one-on-one, but people actually come and tell you, this is where I came from, don't just see me like this. There's a story behind the story. So that was the motivation, using that word that you don't really like. That was the motivation to set up the Boardroom Chat. And why we call it the Boardroom Chat is that there are people who aspire to sit in a boardroom and they've never had an opportunity, and they probably never will. But just to give it that ambience, that feel, and it gives the seriousness of the event if you place it like that.
So it makes people really think, okay, this is like something of actual substance. What sort of takeaways do people get? Like, apart from saying, okay, I sat here, I listened to this, what practical things do they
I'll
actually
give an example from the first one. I remember somebody who was the first boardroom speaker, chairperson we call them, because it's a boardroom, so we call them the boardroom chair, had talked about taking risks. You know, you've been working for somebody and you're busy supporting somebody's dream. Meanwhile, your dream is suffocating. I remember 3 days later, some gentleman comes and says, no, I've resigned my job. I said, oh, that was not the plan, you know, you didn't have to quit your job. But tell you what, he resigned the job, and because there was such an asset to the organization that he worked for, he was actually promoted to MD because they couldn't lose him.
They brought him back.
Yes. Well, he didn't even actually leave, but then because of resignation, they made him MD. And apart from being MD, he ended up becoming a dual kind of person, you know what I mean? He's MD and was allowed to run his own business. So it's stuff like that. We give you practical ways of living.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest takeaways from that story is that something I always like people to remember is that you can be entrepreneurial in your job. So you don't necessarily have to be, the entrepreneur is another buzzword. Right. You don't necessarily have to be a business person. No. You can be someone who is actually working and still be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I started. I used to travel a lot. I used to work outside the country, outside Zambia for long periods of time. And every time I come back home, I'd probably have a sweater or a pair of shoes or something that somebody wants it. And then so parallel to my job, I'd buy 2 extra things and come and sell. And then I realized, oh, wow, I could actually do this for a living. Yeah. So the moment my personal business outran my, my actual employment, I decided, look, I can actually jump ship. And so it is possible, and I discourage people from just jumping. You can, if you've got your vision, you've got your focus in place. But I think it's good to do a dual carriageway kind of thing until you know what can overtake the other.
Yes.
Yeah, and then you jump out if you must.
That's an interesting piece of advice, because people do always want to jump ship. I mean, it's tough being in a 9 to 5. You're slogging away and you think, oh, I just want to leave now. Yeah. What are some of your personal favorite things that people have come and taught or talked about in the boardroom? Personal stories.
I've heard stories. I mean, we had one person who's the current minister or something, we can't mention names, but of course, they came and talked about how they went out to the UK initially as a student. They were doing the ACCA, and they played. The first time they went there, I mean, they were government sponsored, they played hard, and then they failed. They came back, they were given a corner desk, and they were not excelling. There were no promotion because they didn't have the qualifications. Yeah. After that, they realized, I wasted my time in the UK, time to fly back. I think they got and paid leave. I can't remember the story correctly, but they took leave and went back to the UK. This time around, there was no playing. The gentleman did his SCC, I think in like a year, came back and started rising up to the top. And so it's stuff like that that is so real that motivates me to think, somebody who's a student must hear how you should not waste your years thinking you still have a lot of time. Yeah. And sometimes time is never regained.
Yeah. So, but also about how you say time is never regained, but so. You can always make the most of sort of a second chance, right?
Second chance is a second chance, but it's not the original chance.
Yeah.
It's not the original time.
Yeah.
Okay. So I always say when I'm doing my own little mentorship classes with the younger people, is that you must be governed by your vision. Everything you do must be governed by what your vision, what you're envisioning. So if I wake up in the morning, I want to be a teacher, I must be reading, I must be practicing how to stand in front, how to talk to people. But then people are not governed by their visions, you know what I mean? Or they have so many visions, they don't even know which one to follow.
Yeah.
So it's stuff like that.
And we're used to the idea of a company having a vision, not an individual having a vision and having like a North Star to
even
say,
your vision, I believe your vision could actually be supportive to a company vision. Okay, if I know I'm good at talking, for instance, if I went to a company that does customer service and stuff like that, I should volunteer my services, be keen to talk to customers on behalf of the organization. So your personal vision to become a customer service expert could actually be aligned to a company's maybe core values of being, customer friendly or customer focused.
Yeah, I think for me, working should be seen as a reciprocal thing, shouldn't it? We should be getting skills and your employer is also getting something out of you.
You get paid for solutions. You don't get paid for problems. Yeah. So if anybody works in an organization, then all the time they come and tell this can be done, that can be done, then they're not the right fit. So the issue that I try to bring out a lot is be governed by vision. I think this is one of the things that probably become a buzzword in my circle. Be governed by a vision, sleep your vision, wake your vision, talk your vision. If you're governed like that, I think there's a lot of things that people can actually achieve, but then we get sidetracked trying to live somebody else's vision. Okay, so be governed by a vision. Yeah,
and part of your vision is not just Boardroom Chat. This is a whole company. Tell us a little bit about your company.
It's about people. Like I say, it's about living a legacy. We look at developing human potential to its fullest. So if somebody walks in and says, for instance, they're graphic designers or they're into graphics, I would ask you, where do you see yourself as a graphics person? But also what impact do you want to leave in your generation? So we'd probably say, look, set up a warehouse, get the younger graphics people, sit them in a place, you do your work together and then share the costs or share the profits. So for me, that's where we're going. We also do customer service trainings. If I go to a restaurant, a waiter is not so polite, like, did you have a hard day, or stuff like that.
Wow, customer service training, you must be making a business.
Well, you see, the problem is people are not supportive of some of these things. I've done pro bono stuff where I volunteered to do, like pro bono will come into establishment, just help you, because look, if you're going to have people coming back for a repeat, meal or whatever, you better be nice. So it's stuff like that. We do customer service, we do strategic management, processes. We also just do mentorship.
Yeah. What sorts of people come to your chats, and how can they find out more about them?
Boardroom Chat is, we target students, we target young executives, we also target entrepreneurs. So basically, it's quite holistic. That's what we're saying. It's an evolution of a business leader, both corporate and entrepreneurship. Yeah, so that's the kind of people we get. And also, we're trying to look at people who are self-motivated. If they're not self-motivated, we will try to get them motivated.
Do you vet people? How do you invite people to come to?
Well, social media is the best thing. But you see, some of these products, they speak for themselves. When we started this, our plan was just to take in 30 people max. Because we want the impact. You don't want to do a crusade. Then you have the come one, come more kind of thing, and then take nothing. So we target people, we target young executives in different corporate settings. So we have usually, funny thing, we get the repeat kind of attendees. Yeah. But social media has helped quite a lot.
And has it been easy to get speakers or chairpersons to come? Because I think the perception in Zambia is that people are not very giving to each other of information and that sort of thing. Are people willing to come and tell their experiences?
One thing I'll tell you about Zambian setup is that it's all about networks. You would not get very far if you do not network, and that's one other reason we do this, so people can learn how to network. So people in different settings who know somebody, and so always use the power of the second person if you can't get them directly. But once you've made the first contact, there's what we call the elevator pitch. You get you've got that short period to knock it out. Yeah. So if I'm introduced, say to you, and I'll be like, we do the boardroom chat. What you've got, somebody's got to hear it. Can I organize 3 people, 4 people maybe? And then people are willing to share the information, just that we don't ask. Yeah. So when we ask, they do come.
That's very important. Okay, so what's your little elevator pitch for somebody who's interested in the boardroom chat to come along, or to just tell them about what it is?
If you're aspiring, if you've got a vision, like I say, you want to be governed by a vision, come to the boardroom chat, because this is where you get to learn how to evolve as a business leader, whether in the corporate world or in the business world as an entrepreneur.
I don't think I could have said it better myself. Thank you so much for joining me. And thanks to you guys for joining me as well. We'll see you after the break.